My name is Piotr Sławiński, and I'm a junior developer working in the aviation industry. And I will give you a talk regarding Composition API, a brand new feature in Vue 3.0, which is just around the corner. Okay, so for tonight, I have only two goals. First one is to share some valuable knowledge. And the second one is not to make a fool out of myself. If I will achieve, I will be happy if I will achieve either of them. Okay, so let's go to the slides. Oops, sorry. So Vue.js 3.0, or Vue 3 for short, is packed with features. Besides besides performance improvement and also better TypeScript support, it also contains features which will be very useful for the developers. Like so, let's go briefly through the main features it will have. So portals. It's you may know that from many of those features. You may know from different frameworks. But they will be new for Vue. So portals is when, if someone doesn't know, let me check my notes. It's when elements of child component live in many places of the parent component, or suspense when in conditional it renders fallback component until a certain condition is met, and multiple root nodes is when it allows you to have more than one element inside the template root. Filters is a feature already present in Vue 2, but it will be gone by Vue 3. It will be gone in Vue 3 because the same results can be obtained by methods. And also, of course, the Composition API, which I will describe in detail on the next slide. So first, if it's a new feature, then what did we have until now? So until now, a Vue developer had to use Option API, which allowed the developer to group the code within, options like methods, reactive data, props, computed properties, lifecycle hooks, etc. And as you can imagine, as you can expect, it can have a few drawbacks, especially when the application grows bigger. More on that in a minute. So Composition API allows you to separate the logic within one feature. So that's the main difference. You just handle the code as a feature. It stays all of the things I mentioned before. So the reactive data, lifecycle hooks, etc., lives within one place. So that makes it easier to understand by yourself, also easier to explain to others, and to reuse the components. Let me throw up. Let me put up a let me put up a graphical aid which will describe this process. So to the left we have Options API. To the right we have the brand new Composition API. This is taken directly from the Composition API documents. So documentation. As you can probably already tell, each feature is one color. So on the left side, let's focus on the violet feature. Just for the sake of this example, we have something which is probably reactive data over here. We have methods which are over here, and probably some lifecycle hooks which are over here. And while we work on this code, we have to constantly, go back and forth between those blocks of code. and that is actually hard to do when the component grows with scale. It's harder to do with scale when the component grows bigger and when the application grows bigger. To the right, we have composition API, which is the same thing, but the same implementation. We obtain the same results, but the code is organized within blocks. As you can see, it's easier to follow. Okay, so now I will do something which I have never done before, and it is writing code without writing tests first. Okay, I'm kidding. I've done this before. So first of all, let's check out the app and we're going to work on. So this is a representation of air traffic above Poland. And actually, right, currently the traffic is very low. So there's not enough planes. There used to be a lot more, of course, for obvious reasons. And what else? When we can click on aircraft and we can get some data from that particular aircraft, like where it goes, what type of aircraft, etc. And you may ask yourself, what is this bluish, greenish smoke behind it? Well, depending on your opinion on geoengineering, this might be jet engine emissions or chemtrails. But that's enough for the for the app. Let's go to the code. Okay, so over here, this is plain old option API. We have a template, we have our scripts, and that's about it. And let's start implementing refactoring these codes to use composition API. First of all, we need to install it. You might wonder, how did I have access to composition API without even Vue 3 being out? Well, we have a plugin. We have a plugin and we can install it easily to our project. So this should end shortly. Okay, great. And right now we also have to register this plugin. So let me. This is probably important. So let's call it Vue Composition API. I hope I did. Okay, this should be fine. Right now, we can go to our component, which is for this app is very simple. It only has one single file component. And what else? What else? Well, first of all, we need to add something. We need to decide which part of the app we should refactor. So for the sake of this presentation, I think we should, I already described the parts of the code in comments. As you can see, part of it concerns map configuration, part of it concerns getting all the flights and showing all the flights. This is only for the reactive data. Rest is below. It's not a big component. So let's focus on the part responsible for getting all the flights. So let's make a folder for now. Called usables. And within this folder, let's create a file called use flights.js. Great. And over here, we can already start writing our refactoring our code. So let's create a function. Use flights. And what this code does is that it passes on to template flights and flights array and boolean is spinner visible. Okay, so let's do this. Let's great, and let's add also is spinner visible. Hope there are no typos. And this was false. Great. Alrighty. And we also, of course, we need to return this to our component later on. So let's return flights. And is okay. Great. And so before we start, no, okay, great. So what now? Well, we no longer need this part of the code, so let's remove it just to make it harder for me to work on. And as you can see, we have this options API over here, but okay, we have something for the getting all the flights. So let's copy this code to refactor later. Okay, I made a little bit of mess. So we don't need those commas. Bear with me, it's going to be very pretty, very quick. Okay, we have indentation issue over here. Okay, and we can start working with it. So first of all, we in Vue we don't have this. In Vue 3 composition API we don't have to use this keyword. So we can actually remove all the instances of this word from the code, because whenever we used functions nested in methods, this keyword in Vue, this keyword refers to a component instance instead of methods themselves. And currently, we are. It's more similar to plain old JavaScript. So this points to wherever this should point. And I'm not going to describe it in more detail because it's not the subject of this presentation. And also, I don't want to embarrass myself even further. So first things first, we remove this, and now we need to modify this lifecycle hook, because it's no longer called mounted. It's called, and before we go to that, this won't work because those variables are not reactive. To make them reactive, we need to import a couple of some stuff from the plugin from Vue 3. Okay, the ref over here will make this variable reactive, and it also makes an object out of this variable with only one property called value. That will be required further on. So that's fine. Okay, so mounted. We don't have the mounted is called differently. It's called on mounted, So we have to replace it, and this should look like this should look like this on mounted. Okay, and with this syntax, it will fire up on the mounted lifecycle hook. Okay, let's go downwards with the refactoring. So this is a function, obviously. And okay, here you go. It's a typo, sorry. This is the reactive variable, which we had to, now we have to, if you want to modify it, we have to do it like this, because it's an object, right, currently. What else? We have a external service to call the API. I mean, the service within a different folder. So let's import that as well. It should be here. Great. Good. And what else? Okay, this is the same situation with value. Great. Okay, we have another function with we need to access this array, so we added value over here, and we are turning flight spinner. Okay, I think it's all good in this file, or is it not? Let's check quickly. No, it should be fine. We will see on production. No, I'm kidding. I don't think this composition API plugin should be used in production. Maybe you should use it on your own risk, at your own risk. So we no longer need this part of the code. I am back in the map component, just cleaning up a little bit. So we also don't need the mounted part anymore because it's already refactored. And okay, but what now? We have missing the templates. The template renders stuff which we haven't implemented yet. So let's use a new function called setup, which is something which is fired in a certain lifetime of the app before mounted, before created, and well, first of all, we need to import the function we just created. So it's called use flights. Great. We should now declare the variables from that new file, which were flights and is spinner visible. I think we will see in a minute. Whoops, sorry for that. And also we need to return it so it will be accessible from the template. So okay, so we have installed the plugin. We have registered the plugin. We've created. We refactored a part of the code because composition API is fully additive. We can only refactor part of the code and leave the rest as is. So there's no need to refactor all of it. And I think we are good to go. Just a couple of last checks. Okay, let's do the smoke test. If I refresh it, it will probably crash. No way, it works. Whoa, I'm actually surprised. So yeah, it appears that everything is in order. So what else can we do? We have 4 minutes left. So I think we can. I can now talk about that. This was pretty easy, yes, and straightforward application. But with bigger applications comes, well, we will probably have longer return statements because there will be more variables to be accessed in the from the template. So this can become very verbose if we will like have, like some more components, etc., etc. I mean, some more variables to be imported from. Okay, so one more quick refactoring. Oops. One more smoke test. And of course, something's not right. Okay. I removed stuff too hastily. Yeah. Okay. Let's go back to the slides. So to wrap things up, with Composition API, you can separate your code by its logical concerns and not its and not its option or function, but not in a syntax sense, but in a the role of the code, which is, as I said, methods, reactive data, etc. Composition API is additive. I mentioned that. There is no this in Composition API, at least not because the setup does not recognize it. And the ref from the Vue 3 or currently from the plugin wraps primitives an object, and we can refer to it using this value property. Okay, so actually this is it. So well, all I have to say is stay healthy, stay safe, and peace out. Okay, of course, if you have any questions, now's the time.
Thanks, man. Congratulations. Very nice talk. Can you tell me how long do you use Vue?
The Vue, as in regardless the version?
Exactly.
A little bit over a year.
Okay, and before you did React and yeah, or
not really. It was just for the pet projects.
Okay. Because I wanted to ask you how difficult it is. How tall is the entrance level for you from your perspective?
Okay, so Vue actually oops, sorry, that's my timer. Is known for being relatively easy to start. The learning curve is not very steep, mostly because the option API, the former one, because it allowed user to learn just the basics and already start creating. Options API was very, very attractive for fresh users. And I can imagine that with the composition API, it may become harder to comprehend at first for beginners, but it's optional. We can stay with our older code base. We don't have to refactor it just right now. In fact, Vue 3 is not out yet.
Okay. So I'm looking at YouTube at the comments. There are no more questions, and so thank you very much. Thank you very much, Piotr. Congratulations.
No questions means that it was a very comprehensible talk.
Exactly.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Oh, do you see any downsides?
Downsides? Not yet. Not yet.
Okay. Cool. All right. So thank you very much, Piotr. Thanks for this talk.